Hello friends, good morning. Welcome to ASTRA, the daily current affairs from the Hindu, which is useful for your UPSC prelims as well as mains. I will give a quick revision of what are the things that you have to read from the Hindu as far as UPSC preparation is considered. Today is the last day of February 2023, that is 28th of February 2023, the Tuesday, right? So this is the screenshot of the summary of what we have in the current affairs today. So let's quickly deal with the front page. In the front page, heavy polling has been seen in Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura. Recently, the state assembly elections for the three northeastern states have been held, and each northeastern states of Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura has 60 seats, and we have to await the results. However, the exit polls are favoring the present ruling dispensation, that is BJP, in these states. So this is first thing. Supreme Court traps government on plea of ED's chief term. So where you can use this? This can be used. The first thing, you can use this in answer writing of the so-called northeastern states. The electoral turnout is very, very high, around 77% and 86%. So this is the thing that you have to use in mains answer writing. So Supreme Court traps government on plea on ED's chief term. Now, Enforcement Directorate's chief term was asked to be limited, but what the Government of India did is it has changed Central CVC Act, and it has prolonged the existing tenure of the existing Enforcement Director, right, SK Mishra. As a result, Supreme Court is angry on this. So this is the only thing that you have to know. Just have a look at what is Election Enforcement Directorate. Making a name with onomastics. Now, this is not important for our UPSC, only history optional students. If you are interested, you can read, but for general studies students, there is no much relevance content for this. So as far as this term, onomastics, is considered, it is written by Shashi Tharoor. Onomastics means the study of history and the origin of proper names, especially personal names. So studying how the names of a city, for example, Hyderabad, Bhagyanagar, how it has evolved, studying these things is known as onomastics. Not that great. I have gone through it quickly, but I didn't find much relevance as far as UPSC is considered, because the summary itself is saying that it is a light-hearted look at the study of the history and origin of proper names, especially personal names. So it is a light-hearted look. If you want to have a look, you can have, otherwise not relevant. Subaltern secular. Now this is coming from the so-called Indian National Congress. Recently, Indian National Congress committee has been met in order to know their future courts. In this context, the subaltern sections. What is subaltern sections? I have already discussed this. Subaltern sections are those sections who are not looked up by the historians, or who are traditionally considered as vulnerable. For example, the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, the other backward classes in the country, the physically challenged people. These people can be considered as subaltern sections. Now, after the Mandal Commission of 1992, the Indian National Congress which is established way back in 1885, it was dominated by the Brahmins. Hence, Congress is considered as an elite party. So it was consisting of only Brahmins or Kshatriyas, or the top classes of or top castes of various parts of the country. As a result, slowly, this subaltern sections, which constitutes a major portion of our country's population, 52% are OBCs, around 27% are SCs and STs together. As a result, this section is slowly moving or drifted towards other parties like BJP. I have also said that BJP's political consolidation has been happened way back in 1960 because of this subaltern sections. By 1980, this was been very formidable. As a result, BJP could form the government today. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also looking at the subaltern sections inside the Muslim community. In the erstwhile, Muslim communities were not targeted by the so-called, or were not focused by the BJP. But today, the subaltern sections, even in the Muslim communities like Pasmananda Muslims, they are also focused. This is all electoral politics. Now, Indian National Congress has realized that, okay, we are, in order to have power again, we have to win the heart of subaltern section. So what is important is, what is subaltern section? The lower classes which were neglected traditionally are called subaltern sections. For example, if your optional is history, you will be studying subaltern history, which means history is often spoke from the context of the so-called rulers, kings. That is called main history. Subaltern history is looking it from the perspective of people, is called subaltern history. But many historians don't look from the people, rather they look from the so-called kings. That is the difference between the old NCRTs and new NCRTs. In new NCRTs, the perspective will be from subaltern history. Old NCRTs will be from the history of kings. So similarly, subaltern term indicates the lower sections of the society and how they are playing a very crucial role in determining the electoral politics. For PSAR students, this is important. Already we have read an article recently why Congress has lost its major ground to BJP. Right, in that context, you can be seeing that is a same thing. What is it is being spoken is it is being spoken that Congress is now focusing on this with various schemes. So not important unless and until Congress gets to power. Unpacking the new set of e-waste rules. A very good article was written. I have read the entire article and whatever the color codes that I have used. Red is for what are the drawbacks in the rules. Green is for what are the existing rules. Yellow is for the definitions. Blue is for future. What are the suggestions? So this is my color code that I have been following in my newspaper. Those who want to download this, you can download it from the description box that is given below this video in this YouTube channel. Now, unpacking the set of new e-waste rules. Now, we have to know that e-waste rules, this is previous year prelims question. E-waste rules were first defined in India in the year 2011, and they were e-waste means electronic waste, right? They were introduced, the rules were introduced in 2011 and they came into force from 2012. So in 2011, the e-waste rules has one major definition that is called EPR, extended producer's responsibility. Now, if you are using some electrical bulb, say for example, electrical bulb is used. Now, after the period lifespan of this electrical bulb, it will be the duty of the producer to come and pick up it. That is called extended producer's responsibility. This is previous year prelims question, 2 times asked. Extended producer's responsibility is present in which rules? It is present in e-waste rules. This is the first thing that we have to understand. After this, e-waste rules were amended slowly. In the year 2016, they were amended or new rules was framed, and these new rules were again amended in the year 2018. Hence, 2011 followed by 2016 and 2018. Now, what are the amendments that were done here? Now, along with this extended producer's responsibility, they have utilized or they have introduced new terms called authorization, product stewardship, and producer's responsibility organization. So this is very important. What is producer's responsibility organization? Say for example, there is one bulb manufacturing company and we are the consumers who are consuming it. So the people, after this bulb span is over, people have to be there to collect that and make it to the producer, because extended producer responsibility is there. Producers cannot come all together to our domestic homes to carry out this electronic waste. As a result, there are some organizations that is called producers responsibility organizations, which acts as a link between the consumer end and to the producer end, so that they will be collecting it and they will be organizing it. So this is called producers responsibility. Now this is what you find in the 2016 rules, famously known as the authorization, product stewardship, and producers responsibility organizations. What does this mean? You have to take the permission, all these things from the government. In the year 2022, November 2022, last year, government again have come out with new rules of e-waste. In this, it is going to be implemented from this 1st April 2023. What are the things that you have in this new e-waste rules? Very important for our mains. In order to understand what are the new things that is there in this, you have to understand how this e-waste is uh, picked up and how it is, who are the stakeholders in this. Now, any electronic company will be manufacturing the electronic product, that is called producers and manufacturers. Then consumers will be collecting them, using them. After their lifespan is over, you have to collect it back. In order for collection, there will be some rag pickers if you are throwing it outside, that is called informal sector people, or extended producers or producers responsibility organizations are there to collect it. After that collection, you will be sending it to recycling agencies or refurbishing agencies. For example, refurbish is changing something and utilizing the same product. Recycling is going through again the cycling process and producing a new thing by utilizing the important components, right? Refurbish, we might have seen in Ola, we might have seen in not Ola, sorry, you might have seen in the so-called Amazon websites, Flipkart. Refurbish means if there will be a product, there will be one or two defects in it, they will be rectifying it, and that is called refurbished. Recycle means one or two products will be useful from the entire product, they will be utilizing it and they will be recycling it. This is the major difference, or this is the thing. So the stakeholders are the producers, the consumers. In the between producers and consumers, you have producers responsibility organizations, collectors, and these people, and recyclers. Now look at this chain. In the collection point, from consumers to the so-called producers, there are informal sectors. Informal sectors are heavy in this. So what are the new rules speak about them? The first thing that it speaks is all the stakeholders has to get registered. Whatever the stakeholders that we have to have, they have to get registered under them. The second one that it is saying is, however, many of them are not doing this. Hence, they said that the stakeholders has to be registered, and registration of stakeholders is must in this. The second one is, after registering whatever the digital process is going on, if an electricity product is produced, electrical product is produced, obviously that will be going into the so-called digitalized system, and then that will be tracked throughout its life cycle. Once that life cycle is over, they will be getting back, and that will be noted down in the digital track record, and then they will be checking how this process is going on. Hence the entire process is going to be digitalized. Hence digitalized system approach is brought into this new system, that is called electronic waste disposal. So the first one is stakeholders asked to register, the second one is digitalized system approach is brought into this, and the third one that they wanted to do is, they have, however, said that producers responsibility organizations should not be present, because these producers responsibility organizations are not doing their work very efficiently. As a result, they abolished the system of producers PROs, producers responsibility organizations. I said already who are PROs, because they are not properly following the rules. As a result, PROs was cancelled, and the entire digitalization of the system, entire collection of the transactions has to be done by the so-called producers itself. So it is telling that the collecting system, the recycling system, the refurbishing system, everything has to be done by the producer. As a result, the problem here is PROs used to work to some extent a better way, but if you are doing away with the PROs, there will be no middlemen, and the law itself becomes totally flawed. This is what the author is contended to say. And moreover, it doesn't speak about the informal people like the rag pickers who pick the so-called bulbs or electronic devices, and they reach to the so-called producers. They are also not focused about their concerns. So these are the things that it is telling. So, and moreover, what are the other problems for this e-waste management rules? The first one is collection centers are not present, producers are not keeping collection centers so that people who utilize that can dispose it. That thing is not there. And so many producers are saying that you have to come to the head offices and return it, the electronic product. So only collection points are kept at the headquarters, and there is failure of doorstep collection mechanisms from the consumers. So these are the three things, and the fourth important thing is consumers are unaware of the so-called existing services. So these are the four problems apart from these things. So e-waste management rules in India have some problems along with consumers illiteracy or consumers lack of awareness, producers lack of collection systems. The new waste rules of 2022, e-waste rules of 2022 also lacks in some components, like it is not speaking about the informal people, it is not speaking about PROs, and it is abolishing the PROs. As a result, it is going to be a tough time if you remove this. However, it has said some good things, that is, we are going to digitalize all the transactions, and we are going, every stakeholder has to be registered. So registration is done, but it has some its loopholes. We all know that law should not be without any flaws. Law should be without flaws. If the law is with flaws, obviously everyone will extract that flaws. They slip through these flaws, and they will the law becomes useless. So this is what the author is failing, unpacking the new set of e-waste tools. So what are the summary? So far, what are the new waste tools, e-waste tools that we have? E-waste means electronic waste, 2011, 2012, 2016, 2018, 2022, 23. These are the three laws that we have. The latest laws. First law is extended producers responsibility. Second one is about mainly PROs. The third one is cancelling this PROs, registration on this, and what are the failures and how should be the way ahead. The blue one is the way ahead. Stakeholders must have the right of information and intent to safety disposal. The second one is increase consumers awareness, strengthen reverse logistics. Reverse logistics means recyclers, refurbishers, rag pickers, these things, and building capacity of stakeholders and existing infrastructure. So until and unless this is done, this is not going to be quite successful. Very important article for your environment topic, so please read it. So after these favorites on top, Australia won the T20 World Cup. So Women's World Cup was won by Australia. Just remember, there might be a question on this. So who won T20 World Cup? We need to democratically reimagine science. 28th of February is National Science Day, because on this day it was Raman effect was found out, right? And hence this day is celebrated. And this context is writing about how science should be reconsidered. Again, there is no much relevant information as far as UPSC is considered. Only one point. So some people say that we Indians have a traditional science background, that is right from our ancient times. So that is called pseudo-scientificism is being developed in the minds of the people, or there is another set of people who say science is the answer for everything. So one extreme is pseudoscience, that is irrationality, will be just bothering or boasting about our past without working on the present. The second thing is science is the solution, ultimate solution for everything. So he's telling that don't be in the extremes. There is some other mediums also where science can be mixed with the humanities, and then the best results can be bought. So that is the thing. So you can use one term here if you are requiring pseudoscience and scienticism are the two extremes. One, pseudoscience is irrational thoughts, scienticism is everything is science. So these are the two extremes that we should not have, only the middle thing. So you can write this in essay writing here and there, but apart from that you do not find much news. Relatively few tobacco users in southern states. No need to read the above article, just read this. There are two sciences, pseudoscience and scienticism, that's it. Relatively few tobacco users in southern states. Now this is about how many people are smoking in the country, who are there in the north, who are there in the south. In the south it is relatively less. So just remember this heading. Beyond this, not important. After this, High Court of Delhi has supported this Agnipath scheme, saying that it is in the interest of national security that the government of India has launched this, hence they are not going to scrap it. And it also said that it is a well thought scheme of policy decision making by the government. So just remember that a joint statement at G20 is unlikely. Why this joint statement? In order to have a joint statement, all the countries of the G20 has to be united. But in G20, if you look at, there are some countries like China and Russia who are having antagonistic attitude towards the West countries. As a result, joint statement might not be possible. That is the summary. So in G20, joint statement can become when you are together. But within the group, there are two factions. One is China's faction, the other one is USA's faction. As a result, joint statement might not be a possible one. Ensure government reaches to the so-called poor people in the remote corners, says Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. So he said that the tribes people living in the remotest parts of the country should be accessible or given accessible to the government schemes. Hence, this can be considered as an example for good governance. Good governance is reaching, identifying the beneficiaries and making them to reach to the desired extent. The next one is, yesterday we have seen that there is some Kashmiri Pandit who was killed, and now who is the organization that killed them? That is TRF, the Resistant Front. The Resistant Front is the one who is a militant organization who has been killed this Kashmiri Pandit known as Pandit Sanjay Sharma. Now, what is this TRF? TRF is an shadow outfit or shadow militant outfit of Lashkar-e-Toiba. So this clearly shows that LET is still operating in Jammu and Kashmir. Hence, security forces are on their vigil. We have to control them. So where it can be used? It can be used in the so-called internal security, security in the border areas. Particularly in Jammu Kashmir, the security problem is because of this LET and JEM. LET is continuing with new outfits like TRF. That is the thing. Next one, 13-year-old Buddhist stupa is found in Odisha's Jaipur. Now, what is important here is, so we all know that Odisha is famous for some Buddhist stupas, and a new stupa was found in this site. And which material it is made? They might ask this question. Kondalite stones were used for the beautification of this stupa. So this 1300 years stupa was found in Odisha's Jajpur. Now, Kondalite stones were widely used in the ancient temple complexes. Kondalite is a place where you have rich mineral belt, and there these stones were used. Now, For the beautification of these complexes, Kondalite sand is used, stone is used. That you have to know. And the state government of Odisha has one ambitious project that is called augmentation of basic amenities and development of heritage and architecture. ABADA. Augmentation of basic amenities and development of heritage architecture is a scheme of which government? Odisha government. Why this scheme is there? To transform the historical city of Puri into a World Heritage City. To transform the historical city of Puri into a World Heritage City, this is there. Hence, only this thing, Kondalite stones and Abada scheme. Very great judgment coming from Justice B.B. Nagaratna. History of invasions dug up to keep the nation on the boil. A very good thing. Now, recently there was a contentious issue that names has to be changed. Few names has to be changed comparing to the Mughals invasion. Now, what she said is a beautiful answer. India cannot remain as a prisoner of the past, with its history of invasions being constantly dug up and served on the plate for the present and future generations. Country is kept on the boil. You are cooking the past things and you are keeping it before the people. So cannot remain as a prisoner of the past. This is what she said. And she also said that Hinduism is not really a religion. It is a way of life. Hinduism has assimilated everybody, whether an invader or friend. It is because we are able to live together. Hence, she is speaking that come out of this Hindutva tactics or religious tactics, embrace the Hinduism. This is what she is telling, and I expect you know what is the difference between this Hinduism and Hindutva politics. Karnataka best equipped to supply renewable energy, says a report, and this report says that Karnataka followed by Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat are best equipped to supply renewable energy because of their geographical conditions and their government schemes. Now, recently, Financial Action Task Force of the G7 has kept South Africa in the grey list because South Africa is not controlling the so-called money laundering and terror financing. As a result, they were kept in grey list. If they are not following these norms, then they will be kept in blacklist very soon. So this is the context under which this article was written. So just remember what is grey listing. FATF, Financial Action Task Force, relates to G7 countries, and which country was kept recently? South Africa was kept recently. This might be a probable question. The next one is not much relevant news. Again, directly go to the so-called text and context page. In the text and context, they have given a very beautiful article and the New START Treaty. Recently, we have seen that Russia has withdrawn from the New START Treaty. Now, in this context, they have written what is this New START Treaty and what are the schemes that we have. Right, about a half a decade. So what are the various things that we have on this New START Treaty? New START Treaty was signed between the so-called Ronald Reagan versus Mikhail Gorbachev. Both leaders have met together after the end of Cold War politics, and they have signed the treaty to reduce the nuclear weapons or nuclear weapons. Right, both of them view that nuclear weapons cannot be used in the wars and nuclear wars cannot be won, and they should not be won. That is the thing. Nuclear wars cannot be won and must never be won. The doctrine of New START. So how this has evolved? They have given the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are the evolution history of New START. It starts with the so-called SALT Treaty, the first formal dialogue between USA and Russia, USSR, the erstwhile USSR, is strategic arms limitation starts. So they started limiting the strategic arms. So as you are going for arms race, they started reducing through SALT Treaty in 1969. The next one is Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty in 1916, Anti-Ballistic Missile Defense Treaty in 1972 was done. Anti-ballistic missile defense is one that you should not use missiles in order to puncture some other weapons of other countries. This is what signed in 1972. However, this was cancelled by George Bush in 2002. The third one is START 1 Treaty that was signed in 1991 and it has extended until 2009. So it's START 1. The New START Treaty is START 2 Treaty. START 1 is Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty signed in 1991. Now what they are telling is you have to reduce the weapons. Next is followed by SORT, S-O-R-T, SORT 2 Treaty, Strategic Offenses Reduction Treaty signed in 2002. Right. So as START 1 was ended in 2009, it was revived way back with a New START Treaty in the so-called replaced the 2002 START Pact. Right. So SORT has been replaced with START, New START Treaty. Now what is this New START Treaty telling? So there are 4 things or 5 things here. SALT Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, START 1 Treaty, SORT 2 Treaty, New START 2 Treaty. Now, what is the New START 2 Treaty? It was signed in 2010 between US President Barack Obama and Dmitry Medvedev, the Russian counterpart. Now, what is this? As per this, what are the agreements in the New START Treaty? Both America and Russia cannot deploy more than 1,550 strategic nuclear warheads and not more than 700 long-range missiles and bombers, and each country has to limit 800 deployed and non-deployed launchers. This is the thing, and 18 notices has to be given so that one country can inspect other country nuclear sites. This is what it is there, and the data has to be exchanged between USA and Russia about this nuclear weapons twice in a year. So these are the things. So 4 things are there in the New START Treaty. So New START Treaty was started in 2010 by Barack Obama and Medvedev. What are the components that you have? First one is limiting the so-called nuclear warheads, long-range missiles, deployers, and the next one is inspections into the sites. 18 short inspections can be possible. The 5th one is exchanging of the lists. So very good treaty that was signed by Barack Obama. That is the reason why Obama was given the Nobel Prize way back in the year 2010. So this is the thing. Now, why this was taken out? Because recently we have seen that Joe Biden has visited Ukraine and Putin was unhappy with it, and Putin has said that NATO and US wanted to inflict strategic defeat to Russia and take away their nuclear weapons. As a result, we are going to suspend this. Now, what will trigger? What will be the impact of this suspension? It has to be noted that that Russia has not pulled out or withdrawn from New START Treaty. Rather, they have suspended for a temporary period. This clearly indicates that Russia is interested in the New START Treaty because it has not suspended. It has just suspended but not withdrawn. Hence, it may be a warning to the Western countries from Russia saying that we are going to take an extreme measure. Until and unless this is considered, this is a good thing. So about bad thing, this is something good that it has not totally withdrawn. Maybe Russia might be bringing back the same treaty. That is the second thing. That is something good. However, what is the impact that it is going to have in the world? By looking at the withdrawal of Russia and Ukraine from this, Russia and USA from this New START Treaty, many other nuclear weapon countries like China, Pakistan, North Korea, India might also start producing nuclear weapons to a very greater extent, pushing the world again for nuclear arms race. This is what it is said. So how the treaties have come? What is New START Treaty? Why it was withdrawn? What is the impact? Just it is a suspension, so not much impact, but it might have repercussion effects on some other countries. Argon on a chip, a technology which mimics disease systems in laboratory conditions. Important. What are argon chips? Organ chips are the small chips containing human cells that are used to mimic the environment in human organs, including blood flow, breathing movements, serving as synthetic environments in which to test new drugs. So what is this? Let me put this simply. If you want to develop a new drug, you have to go through clinical trials. How the clinical trials will be there? First, the clinical trial says that how far the treatment is efficacious. First one is they will test the chemical composition of the chemical, and then they will reduce the pathogen, they will reduce the dangerous chemicals in it. The third one is they will test on the animals such as pigs, right, rats, mice, hamsters, right. They use this and they test it, and then once this is successful in the animals, they will be used in the human beings. This is called how a drug is manufactured. But in this process, in the preclinical trials, only 10% of them are creating new drugs and only 50% of them are getting successful out of this 10. What does this mean? It is harming many animals and it is not quite effective, and it is also saying that these animals might mimic, but the drug which is prepared by testing on these animals might not be working on the humans. As a result, what it is being said is, let us develop human organs on a chip. So what they will do is they will prepare a chip and they will have this chip will be embedded in such a way that they will reflect the working condition of a human organ. Say for example, they will take a tissue, they will take a small cell. From that cell, they will mimic it and they produce an organ, tissue they will produce. So we all know that cells gives rise to tissues, tissues gives rise to organs, organs gives rise to organism. So they take a small cell and they will look at that component and they will place on a chip, and the chip is developed. just like now the chip will act as a cell or a tissue. So in this chip, by embedding whatever the human systems are present, they will just be embedding in it and they will be producing it, right? This is how they are developing an artificial synthetic chip. Now this can be used for testing on this. So this is what it is being said. Just remember what is organ on a chip. The definition is important. How it is going to be helpful? Obviously it is going to reduce the testing on animals. It might be more collaborative or more cooperative towards the human beings once this drug is tested on this, because it is directly mimicking the human organs. So these are the things that we have in the current affairs today. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a great day. We'll meet you soon. Wish you good luck.